Hi, what's up everybody? In this video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at the second part of our construction block project. All right, so up until this point in Fusion, you should be seeing that you have 36 parts. It's kind of like your own little part library. And if you don't know how to do those parts, I would definitely take a look at the last video tutorial. It's going to show you how you can quickly take 9 parts that we started with and quickly make that into 36 by applying different colors and renaming them, saving them as copies, and so on. All right, so what we need to do right now is that we need to create this simple assembly. So I'm in a brand new design. Okay, what I'm going to do is come up here, go to save, and I'm going to be saving this as simple construction block assembly because we're going to have two assemblies. One's going to be simple, using only 9 parts, and the other one's going to be using all 36 parts. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a save right there. All right, and then what you're going to need for this is to come out into Google Classroom. At the bottom of Google Classroom, you're going to see construction block project, and you're going to be seeing this one here. It's going to be trying to say it's a simple assembly video tutorial, but you can just find this, pick on it. Okay, and when you pick on it, I shouldn't have said video tutorial. What it is actually this online interactive model. All right, and this is what you're going to be constructing. We can see if we take a close look here, all 9 blocks have been used, the original blocks, and some are different colors than others. So at this point, you can go ahead and use Orbit with this. Okay, you can start seeing where all these blocks are going to be placed. Okay, and then probably at this point, you're going to start figuring out what is your base assembly. Okay, or I'm sorry, your base part. All right, so taking a look here, I can see that this arch block is probably going to be my base component. So that's probably where I'm going to be starting out with Fusion. So over into Fusion, all right, I can go ahead and since I've already saved this, I can now bring in my blue arch block. Okay, so once I bring that in, this is the point when you now need to get this off of the origin. So you can grab it by the dot in the middle. You can use the arrows to slide this back, get it off the origin. Okay, and also at this point, this is when you can begin starting to use your dials and rotate this. If you need to rotate this, get this into the orientation that you want, I can see that mine is good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Okay, so since this is the first block that comes in or the first part that comes in, what you need to do is come up here, right click on it and come up and hit ground. All right, so now when we come to grab this, it's not able to move. Okay, that's gonna be the first block. All right, jumping back into my interactive model, I can see that this is gonna be the short rectangle. Okay, and this is a long rectangle. If you're thinking that they're looking the same, remember to flip this around and we can see that goes further back that we just couldn't see from this angle right here. So I'm going to be bringing in my green short rectangle block. Okay, jumping back over into Fusion, coming down, I'm going to find my short rectangle block. Here it is. Okay, and that is the green color. Once that comes in, pulling this off the origin like so, and we can rotate this. So I know it's going to have to go into this orientation, so I'm going to go ahead and rotate it. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. All right, so this is now the point when I start using joints. Okay, coming up to joints, be flipping this over, looking at that green block, coming in here close, getting this onto the surface like so, and now I'm going to go ahead and use control to filter out to find that exact location and orientation for that coin. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that corner, flip this around, come up here to the top of the blue block, okay, have it right here in the surface, hold down control, find my filter, okay, and get that to go into the right location. Remember, if it's not going in the right location, you can always use your dials, use rotate, but in my case here, it's looking like it's pretty much good to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and say okay. So you might already start noticing that maybe these blocks don't have real high standards for whoever who's uh, manufacturing the blocks. Remember that they're kids' toys, they're made of wood. All right, so yeah, we might be seeing some differences. Now, if this was 3 times the size, well, maybe we got problems with the measurements, so you might have to go back and remodel this. All right, so jumping back into my interactive model, I can see that yellow rectangular block, we can see how that went all the way to the back. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just pull that one in now. Okay, so coming down here to yellow, looking for my long rectangular block, bringing that in. Okay, once again, we can rotate this if we need to, get this in the right orientation, and then obviously pull this off the origin. I'm gonna go ahead and say okay on that. All right, so that is done. All right, we can see that that's gonna go all the way back to the back corner of that blue block. So let's go ahead and use joint. Coming into here to the surface, I like the orientation, hold control, find my point, and pick the point. Now I can orbit this around, go into this orientation, hold control, find that exact point on the corner. Looks good. Just don't forget you have the dial to use rotate. Okay, right orientation. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK on that and put this into a home view. Okay, so that is done. Back into my interactive model, I can see that my red arch is going to be over here on this corner. Okay, so I'm going to go up, find my red, use the arch, pull that in. It's in the correct orientation. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off the origin, say OK. And now I can come in, start using my joint here, and just take this right here to the surface, use my filter with the control, take it to that corner, and now I can go ahead and just place that right here by holding control for my filter. All right, so that arch block goes right on top. Okay, so that guy is in. Let's see what else is on the top. Okay, I have this red block, this cube right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in my red cube. Okay, I'll go ahead and pull that off the origin. And now I'm going to go ahead and flip this around. Okay, using my joint. I'm going to come up here and I want this corner right here using control with the filter. Okay, to be placed right here on the corner using the filter. It's going to drop that right in. I say OK. Okay, back into our interactive model, we can see that green wedge is going to be on its edge, going straight up. Okay, so I can flip this over back to Fusion. I'm going to pull in my green wedge. Okay, and now this is definitely one of those situations where we can begin getting this into the right orientation. All right, using our dials, maybe get this spun where it is correct. Okay, we'll say OK on that. And then let's go ahead and let's place that. So that's as easy as coming into joint, getting to the face, holding control for our filter, grabbing that corner, flipping this around, coming to this face, holding control, that's our filter, and taking it to that point. All right, so everything we can see is going exactly where it needs to go. And coming back in here, we can see yellow cylinder is on top of that red cube. Okay, so let's go down, find our yellow cylinder, drag that in. Okay, pull this off the origin. Okay, let's see if we can go ahead and get this into the right orientation with the rotate. Say OK. And now we can use joint. We're going to take this right here to the center, bottom of the face, and take this and find the center of the top face of the cube. We're going to go ahead and say OK on that. Okay, we have our triangular block. It's going to be blue. It's going to be hanging out there on top. So let's go and find it. So here is my blue triangular block. Okay, pulling this off the origin. Okay, and now if we wanted to, we could honestly go ahead and rotate that if we need to. Okay, it's going to be looking pretty close. Let's go ahead and say OK on that. All right, using our joint now, we're going to find the exact center of that surface. Okay, pick on that joint origin, and we're going to go ahead and take it to the top of this surface. We have that. Okay, now the only thing that I can see is, I think it actually went on there straight. All right, if it wasn't, we still have the ability to, rotate this. Okay, so we can see that's good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and say OK. And back into our interactive model for our last part. Okay, it's going to be that cube extruded block. Okay, it's just gonna be right here on the edge of the yellow block that we put in there earlier. So let's find that. Here it comes in. Okay, we can do a quick rotate if we need to. Okay, we have that where we want it. We can say OK, and now it's just simply going to be using that joint, using control for our filter, finding that corner, taking it over here to our yellow block, using control, finding that filter, getting that corner, putting that in place and saying OK. All right, so there we go. All right, that is how you do this simple construction block assembly. Okay, and that should be matching up with what it is we see here in our interactive model from P3D. All right, and that's it. That's how you do the second part of this project.